Hey guys, and welcome to this new series about diversity and allyship. So obviously, this is not something I normally do, right? But I think it's important, and it's really important to me. So it's something that comes up a lot in my discussions and kind of my outlook on the world. And I've been really privileged to have worked in many diverse environments with diverse people, and I've learned a lot along the way, that maybe some of it is useful, and I thought it'd be interesting to share because I do have these discussions a lot. I'm always kind of the one asking questions and being like, yeah, but are you sure that's inclusive? And so just wanted to create the series to talk a little bit more about this stuff in detail and share with you what I know. Now, the first thing that I have to say is that I'm not an expert. What I am is somebody who grew up in a very privileged, very white, middle class town and family, and I have spent the past 9 years living and working in Asia, throughout Southeast Asia, Cambodia, South Korea, and Pakistan. And through these experiences, I've met and talked to people from many different backgrounds, whether it be, orientation, race, social status, political, religious, able, disabled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like I've had the privilege to talk to these people, and to be part and work with them and collaborate with them and do artistic projects and just generally get a sense of what a diverse world maybe could be, and that's what I bring to the table. But I am not an expert, and I know that there will be stuff in these blogs that people are like, wow, she really doesn't know what she talks about, and that's okay. Like, I am learning. That is actually the biggest point that I want to make in this first vlog, which is that, like, being an ally is not a thing where all of suddenly everything, you understand everything, and then you can be an ally. It doesn't work like that. Like, one of the things that drives me the craziest is when supposedly super woke people are so busy pointing out how other people are less woke than them, that they can't bear to have any criticism on their level of tolerance. The thing is like, every day I learn something new. Every day I come to grips and I realize that, like, listen, I'm never gonna completely understand what it's like, the Black experience, for example. I just won't. I'm never going to be, I'm never going to be persecuted for my skin color. And in fact, it's something that helps me all the time. Like, that's a thing, and I will never actually go through that experience. And so I can't understand it. The best that I can do is shut up and listen, and read and try to be compassionate, try to be aware, try to be sensitive to it. But there is always more to learn. Like, recently I've been reading this incredible book called The Disordered Cosmos by Chanda Prescott Weinstein. I think that's her. I think I've said that correctly. If I haven't, but anyway, it's a marvelous book. It talks about theoretical physics, but it also talks about the physics of Black skin, for example, and she brings in history and culture and physics and biology, and talking about Blackness as an identity, as physics, as for example, she's criticizing the fact that a lot of people have kind of made an analogy between Black people and dark matter, which is fascinating and really interesting. It's not something I really ever thought about before. And so going through this book, you like, every page I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that, or that's something I hadn't considered. And And I think a lot of times that when I just kind of shut up and listen and read or take in the information, then I always find something more to learn. I'm constantly learning how to be a better ally. I'm constantly questioning, is this a place where I can speak up? Is this a place where I should speak up? Should I add my voice to this discussion? Or is it going to be like me as a white person, like, putting something, like I'm still learning, and I probably always will be. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I wanted to say. I think that there's something that I've noticed, with tolerant or progressive or liberal, whatever word you want to put, people that oftentimes they will support diversity as a philosophy. They will support inclusive societies, equitable societies as a philosophy, and they will like shout all the time about it. But when it comes down to actual lived experiences, they'll make a lot of excuses for why their personal bubbles are not particularly diverse or inclusive. Maybe it's, I don't meet that kind of people. I don't work with them. Like this kind of, our workplace doesn't have this policy or whatever it is. I'm not going to point fingers here. I'm just going to say that this is a pattern that I've noticed, that there is this kind of emphasis on like, yes, diversity, but when it comes down to the actual lived experience, there's a lack of it often. So one of the practices that I've started to consciously go through is to, go in my mind through a list of the various places I inhabit. And I mean this as friend groups, community groups, institutions that I'm part of, the reading material that I have, the music that I listen to, the content that I consume, the people that I follow on Instagram, or just the people that I talk to on a regular basis, the way I interact with in when I'm walking in the city around me, and think, how diverse are these different places, workplace or friend circle, how diverse are they? How diverse could they be, right? So imagine, what is the extent that they could be more inclusive, and where are they currently? And how would I feel about it if this particular area was much more diverse, right? And that moment is when you really kind of learn your own biases, where you realize that, like, if this particular place was like way more diverse, if my neighbors were people from multiple ethnicities in the city, how would I feel about that, for example? Or, if I lived in a neighborhood that had, all the different classes represented, how would I feel about that? So, and I think that you really quickly find, like, where is your lived experience, diverse or not. And I'm not to say that, like, if your lived experience is not diverse, that means you're a bad person. Like, that is not what I'm saying here, right? What I'm saying is that this, as a thought exercise, really, really helps you kind of understand what on a daily basis are you kind of surrounding yourself with. So, one thing that for example, I'm horrible about music. I listen to like the same 3 or 4 bands all the time. And that's kind of what I do. So I know that I'm like not great in that regard, but recently I've started to try and consume different kinds of content. And there's a couple of accounts that I follow on Instagram. One is like Brown History. Another one is like Anti-Racism Daily. And I know that there are more definitely accounts that I can follow. I've just started following Black NFT Creations, which is really, really cool. So this is like, what I'm saying is basically, when you do this exercise, you kind of start to see where, where your lived experience is maybe really not diverse. And then you can decide if you want to do something about that. I mean, again, I'm not here to say like you're a bad person if every single moment of your life is not perfectly diverse and includes everybody, all kinds of people on the planet, because that would be really difficult. But it is becoming aware of that, and your personal kind of preferences, where you discover your biases, and it could help you. It could help you to understand where you might be. You might be maybe less able, or places that you need to work on to be a better ally in the future. So that's what I have to say for this vlog. Did get a little long, but I hope that it's interesting, useful. Participate in the discussion in a respectful manner in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.